I know we're all waiting for the big FF9 remake to happen, and I'm still praying to the Square Enix gods that it does, but with the new update to the Moguri mod for the Steam version, we may not actually need one. Are you seeing this? This is incredible. The Moguri mod has actually been around for a long time, but it's just been updated for the first time since 2021, and it blows my mind. So allow me to show you how you can achieve the Moguri mod and the rest of the Memoria mod manager for yourself using the Steam version of Final Fantasy IX, and why you would want to, as well as some other little bits and pieces that you might want to explore as well. Before we get started, of course, don't forget to check out my art store down in the description box below. You guys know I love my Final Fantasy and I love drawing Final Fantasy characters, and you could be darn sure I'm going to be drawing characters in Final Fantasy IX, considering it's my favourite Final Fantasy. So if you're interested in supporting the channel, as well as keeping up with news on other art prints that I might have, consider clicking on the link in the description box. Thank you very much, and let's get on with the video. So this here is the website for the Memoria mod manager, and of course the Moguri mod as well, and it's the easiest thing to find. I will link this in the description box below as well, but all it takes for you to be able to use this is to have Final Fantasy IX on Steam, and then you literally just download the Memoria patcher so that you have access to the Memoria patcher, launch it after launching the Final Fantasy IX game at least once so it knows where to find it in your folders. And that's pretty much it. But looking at the changes that have been made to Moguri 9, which is the version that's come out as of this week, you have upscale re-renders of all backgrounds aided by stable diffusion, full rework of battle backgrounds, redrawing of many layer edges, improvements of most lighting, animated textures upscaled on monsters and NPCs, rework of some FMVs, and then many visual bug fixes. So this is huge in terms of the visual aspect. So it's been well known that Moguri mod and the Memoria manager have given us access to a lot of things over the course of time with Final Fantasy IX. And as my favourite Final Fantasy, I've explored Moguri mod extensively. And I'm now wanting to play through Final Fantasy IX for, what, the 10th, 12th, maybe even more times than I have done before, because I want to explore it with the new changes to these visuals. So this is the Memoria launcher as you see it when you use it for the first time, if you've used the current version of it. And it basically allows you to manipulate the way Final Fantasy IX plays. So you have where you put it on your monitors, etc., the resolution that you want it to be. You can have it so that it checks for its own updates, so you don't have to go and keep downloading it for yourself. There are cheats that I actually use here because they just mitigate the irritations that are present in Final Fantasy IX, one of which being the horrendous steal rate. Like, anyone who's tried to steal a fairy flute knows how much of a pain in the backside it can be, and there's nothing that you steal in-game that breaks the game or makes it so significantly easier that it's not just a waste of time to have to keep refreshing when fighting Beatrix for the third time to try and get those elusive weapons from her. So you can make it 100% steal rate, you can turn manual trance on, I don't do that, break damage limit, I don't do that. Speed mode I find is really useful, just because again it helps you get through things and you just press F1 on the keyboard to enable it and disable it. Battle speed you can actually increase, and I actually have it at 1.2 times speed, just because it still feels natural, but it makes the gaps in between you pressing a button and actually attacking feel light enough that it doesn't feel like a problem anymore. If you've played Final Fantasy IX for any period of time, you'll know that the speed of combat can be a bit of an issue. This helps that. Battle cheats don't have that. No random battles, I have it on as an option, but I don't ever use it. Card randomness is easy win. No one likes Tetramaster, but you can actually change that, and we'll get to that in a minute. Orchestral music, I actually have this turned off, and I'll tell you why in a minute when we go into the mod manager itself. 30 frames per second videos, you can have it so that the FMVs are played at 30 FPS rather than 15, and it does make a difference. It is again bolstered by AI, so if that's something that bothers you, then maybe turn this off. Widescreen, also really useful. Anti-aliasing. FPS, one of the new updates is you can now have it at 120 FPS. I have it at 90. I don't feel the need to have it at 120, but with the texture updates and everything else, this in combination with that will make it feel like a brand new game. So camera stabilizer, value the delay between the player and the camera makes the game smoother to play. I have it on because it is just a nice thing to have. Again, it just makes it a little bit smoother. The battle HUD, you can make it smaller so that you can like just make it so that there's less on the screen and more visual, or you can have it go back to being like the PlayStation version was, if that's something you see fit. The UI lines and columns, because it typically only has sort of like 2 columns when it comes to like abilities and stuff like that, you can increase those. Skipping intros to the main menu, yes. Skip battle swell, yes. Show only PSX bubbles. So having the speech bubbles that has been added by the Steam version, you can turn that off, and I do have it turned off. ATB mode, this is interesting and not something I've actually explored yet, but you can have it turn-based. So turn-based, I think that what happens here is the speed of your characters denotes the turn order. So if you really like Final Fantasy X and you want it to feel a little bit more like FF10, then you can do that. I have it normal because I like FF9 the way it is. Card game, you can have it change between Tetramaster, Triple Triad, or Tetra Triad. Now, I've not explored these. I'd be keen to see what other people say about them. But I don't play the card games all that much in Final Fantasy IX as it is, and I don't feel the need to change it to Triple Triad or whatever Tetra Triad is. But you may want to explore that, and it could be a really fun thing for you to do. Then lastly, you have use PSX font, which I actually do. I prefer it that way. Or you can set it to your own font if you want to be really crazy, but just be aware that by changing that, you are kind of changing the essence of the game more. And what I try and do when it comes to using modifiers on older games is I like to try and keep the spirit of the game as close to its original form as possible, while just making it feel more updated and modern. And the Memoria launcher absolutely does that. Then before we go into the launcher itself and the other mod management you can do, there is an advanced option here, which is experimental. And I've actually tried this out and I love it. Love it. So what you can do is you can have custom shaders put onto the characters, and there's different versions here. Like you can have the original version, you can have toon and outline, or you can have realism. And you can have realism and outlines as well, but that looks kind of weird. I've chosen to go with toon and model outline, so any of the footage that you see me playing the Memoria mod will showcase that, and you'll see just how well it fits in with the feel of Final Fantasy IX. The realistic shaders I think can look quite cool, and I might experiment with that at some point, but I think that toon and model outlines is the way to go if you're going to play with this. Then of course you have the mod manager itself. So we click on that, you can see the ones I've installed here, and one of them I'm going to get into in particular. But, so you just go to browse catalog, this will do everything for you. You don't have to worry about it. It will come with Moguri mod added in, so you can just use the rework of all the visuals, helped by AI and polished with love, which is a nice way of putting it, I suppose. HD backgrounds, all 11K layer edges manually redrawn, improved FMVs, HD place names using original fonts, all of that stuff. There's also lots of little pieces that you can use as well, like a playable character pack that allows you to play as Kuja, Fratley, and Lanny. Beatrix is not here because she has her own thing, and we'll get to her. And then you have lots of other little bits and pieces like PlayStation sound, so if you want to replace the sound assets that the remaster had with the original PSX versions, you can do that. I haven't yet, but I actually might add this in. PSX buttons, I actually put this on because I'm used to playing Final Fantasy IX as a PlayStation game, and the remaster uses the Xbox icons, which I don't actually like. You can actually have it as DualSense or Switch as well. High-res chocographs, so it's easier to read the chocographs, but you don't need this if you already have the Moguri mod on. You can turn cutscenes off entirely if speedrunning is something that you want to do, and I did this with Final Fantasy X, and this may be something that I explore again in the future after playing the Nintendo World Championship NES edition and also kind of getting that craving from Final Fantasy X. But 9 is also a long one, so we'll wait and see with that. Then you've got some Brazilian Portuguese translations, Russian translations, etc. But you also have this, which is alternate fantasy, and this is something that I want to explore. If you've played the new threat mod for Final Fantasy VII, or the Final Fantasy VI one that's very similar, this is very much the same thing for Final Fantasy IX. So what this mod does is increases the difficulty of Final Fantasy IX to give a fresh experience of the game for those who already know the game well. So it changes the battle system, the enemies, the abilities, and how they work. There is some new boss battles, which is very exciting, but personally for me, the most exciting thing here is the possibility to recruit Beatrix in the party, and also the reintroduction of scenes that were left on the cutting room floor by the original developers. So Beatrix is my favourite character. She has been for a long time. You can also just have Beatrix as on her own as well, if you want to be able to do that without the increased difficulty. But I want to test this out. Like, I've not seen much of alternate fantasy, and I may well stream this. You're welcome to follow me on Twitch if you want to find me over on there. But I want to see Final Fantasy IX through a new light, and the Memoria Manager is what's going to help me to do that. So just looking at the game here, I'm right at the start of the game here, because obviously I've only just re-downloaded the mod, and I've added the alternate fantasy mod on as well. But look at the smoothness of this movement. It's the updates to the frame rate, and this is obviously an FMV, which kind of closes in with how the original was, so I wanted you to see how the FMVs work. So the 30 frames per second does add a little something, but it's still blurry, it's still very PS1, but the actual gameplay itself, it's smooth as butter. Going into combat, look at this, look at the shaders, look at how all of this looks. Unbelievable about just how clean everything is. Just little things, and it's not a crazy overhaul of the game itself, although I've added some bits in as well when it comes to alternate fantasy, but equally just the ability to be able to find this challenging again after so many years, and with this fresh coat of paint on there as well. Like, this would normally be very, very dead by now if it was the normal version of the game. But having to actually take advantage of the various aspects of Final Fantasy IX that make it what it is, it's just magical to just be able to see it through a new lens. Even going off just the website images, because like I said, I haven't progressed that much using the mod on the PC version, because I've only just finished the Platinum this year for Final Fantasy IX, so I've played a lot of it on the PlayStation and not the PC. But take a look at this. So this image from Clara, just scanning over it, look how clean all that imagery is, how it turns widescreen, how the models look more like pristine, little bits and pieces, and this is without like the texture mods to the characters themselves. Gizamaluk's grotto looks perfect. Look at this door over here and this insignias on the wall and how clean they all suddenly look. Unbelievable. And then this is the 2024 version. So looking at, this is aboard the Red Rose, so this is Queen Bran's ship. There we go, I had to remember that for a second. But look at just how clean everything looks. Look at these pots. Look at these pots, or the teleport pots. Clean. It just looks like a fresh coat of paint, but without looking like it's not Final Fantasy IX anymore. And honestly, if we get this remake of Final Fantasy IX from Square Enix, I really hope it's along these lines, where it's still Final Fantasy IX. They haven't messed around with it, or they haven't done too much to change it. They've just made it feel like Final Fantasy IX, so that we as veterans of this game can go to new people and go, this is what we loved when we were kids, and now you'll love it too. But if it doesn't happen, at least we have this. So that's all I have to say about the Moguri mod and Memoria mod manager. I think that it's something that if you love Final Fantasy IX as much as I do and don't want to wait for Square Enix to release this remake that may or may not be happening due to the rumours that have been going around for God knows how long, this is the way to play Final Fantasy IX. And if you want to explore different avenues like the alternate fantasy mod and stuff like that, you can do that. And I just wanted to bring it to people's attention who may not already know about it. The mods have been around for a long time, but with this brand new update and all of the rescaled textures and backgrounds and all of that, I thought now was a really good time to showcase the Moguri mod. So thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed what you've seen here today, then perhaps consider leaving a like on the video and subscribing to the channel. And I look forward to seeing you all next time. So thank you very much for watching, and thank you to the Moguri mods for making this what it is. So see you later, everyone. Take care.